This is the only way to reach 10,000 prospects in 1 week using email. Most B2B companies don't fail because they have bad offers. They fail because they can't reach enough people. Below, you'll see a campaign that I did for a capital raise, and you'll see that I sent about 10,000 emails a week, and each week we were setting up about 25 qualified investor meetings. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I set the system up. Everything from inboxes to scraping the lists to setting up the copy so that you never have to worry about lead flow again. Let's dive right in, and let me just start by saying there's 3 reasons why cold email infrastructure beats ads or sales team. 1, it's cheaper. You don't have to spend money, first of all, hiring a new hire, but then also having to pay for the insurance that comes with it, the training that you need to have, perhaps getting a hiring coordinator to onboard them. You can simply just set the system up. 2, it's quicker because once the infrastructure is set up, you are off to the races. There's no more training needed outside of testing different angles or deciding if you want to target somebody else. And 3, it's a lot easier to manage because if you are the head of a sales team, your job is not just bringing in sales, but it's also training your reps. And when you bring on a new rep, that is the most amount of investment that you are going to have to put in to training and to getting them onboarded and to bring them up to speed. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of sales reps, especially early ones, they end up churning. When it comes to ads, you have to learn how to run the actual ad campaign. You need to get a role for creative and you need to get a role for media buying. These 2 people, if you're lucky, can be the same person, but it's a black box. You don't really understand if they're doing a good job or not. They're just spending money and results come out. How do you know if you're optimizing? How do you know if it's actually delivering? Cold email infrastructure is a lot more cut and dry because you can use it into any vertical without as much investment, and it is far easier to manage and understand. The numbers are the numbers, the qualified leads are the qualified leads. You have full visibility into the entire process. Also, the setup for email infrastructure is actually a lot more simple than you might think because I like to think of it like dominoes. When you have all of the right dominoes lined up and they're set up correctly, once you hit the dominoes away, then they simply fall into line one after another and they get you to your result. As long as you have the right technical setup, as long as you have the right mailboxes, as long as you have the right campaign messaging, then you simply just knock it all the way down and you get a meeting out on the other side. It's completely predictable. It's not a black box like the Facebook ads algorithm. And this is why it's such a pivotal part of the cold email outreach system because so many teams focus on things like personalization or how much we're leveraging AI in our lists. That's important and that's a good thing, but that's like the last domino. And really, it's a small domino. It's not the one that's going to get you over the line. If you've got great personalization, but you've got poor deliverability, it doesn't even matter. You might as well just throw your emails into spam because that's where they're going. The right setup gets you into mailboxes, which is better than most of the market even today. When it comes to scraping and verifying thousands of high intent leads, there's typically a couple places I start. First would be Apollo. If you are an enterprise and you already have access to databases like ZoomInfo, then I would use those too. But if you don't, then I would actually go to Google and I would search for databases that exist already. Sometimes it's worth just paying the investment depending on how specialized the list you're going after is. In order to do that, you got to get really specific about the types of companies that you're trying to get, as well as the titles of the people that you are trying to sell to. For that, I would go to ChatGPT and I would just simply ask and give a couple examples of the right types of businesses and then go from there. The first thing that I do when it comes to verifying large volumes of leads is simply doing a gut check by going to the source of the list, if it's Apollo or if it's ZoomInfo, wherever you're getting it, and just going through on a couple different pages and just making sure all of the leads make sense. So for example, if you're looking for marketing CEOs or C-suite in marketing, then you go and you look at your list and you've got legal on there and CFOs, then you probably need to go back to your titles or your keywords and figure out what's giving you these wrong leads because that's going to hurt your campaign too, sending to the wrong audience. Then I would also look into enrichments like looking for companies that have jobs up on LinkedIn. For example, if you're selling a sales tool and you see that there are companies that are posting jobs for sales roles, then you know that they might be a good fit and those are ones that you might want to prioritize. You can do that kind of enrichment through Clay or the Derek app or a number of other scrapers or enrichment tools online. You can simply Google them. Also, when it comes to scraping leads from Apollo, I recommend Appify. I know that's a very popular one out in the market. And of course, when you are trying to build a list quickly and you want to get all of the right keywords, all the right title combinations, for example, CEO and Chief Executive Officer, or VP of Marketing and Vice President of Marketing, then I would recommend going to ChatGPT and simply just typing all of the titles that you can think of, give it the business case that you're trying to solve and the people you're trying to reach, and say, give me an exhaustive list of titles. You'll be able to plug those into whatever tool, and that's going to help your search immensely. Once you've gone to your database, you've plugged in your keywords, you've plugged in your titles, you've cleaned it up for any weird titles or weird roles that aren't supposed to be there, then you want to make sure that you clean the list properly by getting rid of bad emails. I recommend using a tool like Million Verifier or BounceBand. Those those are simply going to get rid of all of the emails that you cannot send to because they are bouncing. Those are going to hurt your spam score a lot. So you want to make sure that those are not in your campaign. And if you leverage ChatGPT and use this right, then you should be able to build a list pretty quickly because you can get all of the fields you need filled fast. I'm building lists in 10, maybe 15 minutes at most, because I know the questions to ask and the parameters that I'm trying to fill. Get good at prompting with ChatGPT, ask it the questions that'll help you build your case. Okay, here's the secret sauce. This is how I send 2,000 emails a day without hitting spam. The most common thing I run into when I start talking to a business and they want to do a mass email campaign is they first tell me, yeah, I've got a couple domains and mailboxes warmed up. They're ready to go, so we should be good there. And then I ask them, how many mailboxes do you have? How many domains do you have? They go, 2, 4. Listen, you are not going to be able to send 2,000 emails on 4 domains. It just simply won't work. You're going to get flagged for spam. The most that I send from any mailbox at a time is 15 emails. So you can do the math. You want 2,000 emails a day sent, and I'm only sending 15 from a mailbox. How many mailboxes do I need to send that many? The answer is like 134. And yeah, I actually set those up. You need that many mailboxes if you want to make a dent reliably and consistently day to day to day in your TAM. When I say TAM, I mean total addressable market. Now I've got 134 mailboxes that I need to set up. And so obviously I'm also not going to do that on just one domain or 2 domains, because if that mailbox gets hit because someone reported spam or something happened, then it's going to flag the domain for spamming behavior. And that's going to ruin all the mailboxes. The most amount of mailboxes I set up for a single domain is just 3. So for 2,000 emails a day, you're going to need about 45 domains. And so this is really it. You have to go and buy a bunch of domains, and then you need to go and set up 3 mailboxes per domain. There's plenty of videos that I'm not going to go into the technical setup exactly, because you can find out, what record to put in for DNS, for SPF, and all that. But just get Google or Outlook mailboxes, keep it very simple, and you'll be able to go that way. I recommend cheap inboxes. That's a good place to start. When it comes to warm up, your easiest answer is going to be simply getting a warm up tool. A lot of the email sequencers have warm up tools already, and there's a bunch out there. You can use Instantly and you can use Smartly. Those are great places to start. And what they will do is start sending emails back and forth between your mailboxes so that it looks like there's real activity going on and that there isn't about to be 2,000 cold emails going out to your ideal client. Email service providers don't want to have people sending mass campaigns. They want regular correspondence, like what you would be sending to people in your office or to your colleagues. So they'll send the exact same kind of messages like that, opening your emails, clicking on them, replying to them so that it looks real and it looks good to the ESP. I like to set it at like a 30% reply rate. I wouldn't do more than starting at 1 to 5 emails a day and ramping it up to maybe 30 or 40 at most. But just get it starting slow and ramping up to more, and leave it alone for 2 weeks. And then the real key is leave it on Always have it there. It's a good buffer to make sure that your mailboxes look like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing at all times. The worst thing that could happen to you is to go and set up 134 mailboxes just to have them all marked down for spam. You don't want that. So make sure that the warm-up is always going. It's protecting your score. It's making your inbox look good. Now, the most common mistakes people have with deliverability, number one is right out the gates, your DNS setup, your SPF record, your DKIM record, and your DMARC record. Most people don't know, but you can literally send screenshots of what you're missing into ChatGPT, and it will tell you exactly what to set up, what records to put in, everything. I recommend just doing that to start. Secondly, a lot of people don't know about warm-up. I just explained that. Third of all, they don't really know how many mailboxes they need to get, because most people will think, okay, if I get 2 or 3 mailboxes, we're off to the races. We can send, however many emails. At scale, you need a ton of mailboxes. And then fourth, important, but maybe not the most impact, is the copy you're using. Using spammy words like free and sale and loan and the types of things that come in those actual spam emails, that's going to trigger the spam filters. It doesn't look good. Lastly, and most importantly, the best way to get awesome deliverability is to just write emails that people actually want to reply to. Have a good offer, send it to the right people with the right messaging. That simple. This is my cold email structure that actually gets replies. Most cold emails get ignored for exactly what I just said. They have a bad offer, or it's going to the wrong audience, or the messaging sucks. So let me make it very, very clear. This is exactly what I do with every single one of my clients. It's a simple 3-part structure. It's the hook, the offer, and the call to action, the CTA. A real example of an email that actually worked here. This is an email that got a response. I redacted some of the email because we don't want to give away all of our secret sauce, and I would do the same for you if you were my client. But it's very, very simple. Hey, first name, we helped a premium athletic brand grow their revenue by 161%. That's the hook. Using our marketing strategy, that's redacted, but that's the offer. And then you have the call to action. Want to see how we would do it for your brand. Something easy that they can reply to. Hey, yeah, that sounds interesting. Or sure, send over what you have. That's the kind of response that we're looking for here. Also, I just want to point out, but the tone is really, really important here too. This tone tone is simple and it's informal. It almost feels like an internal note. You don't need to be super formal here. You want to just sound like another colleague telling another colleague about something that's cool or something that's useful or productive. Hey, I just found this tool, it might be interesting. Why don't you take a look? That's kind of where you're going for here. And a lot of people mess up their emails by making it sound too formal and too salesy. Be very, very careful for that. Look how simple this is. Literally, there's nothing but just a couple lines to it. That's all you need. So what I love about email marketing is that the system is so reliable and consistent. You just need to rinse and repeat if you want to get the same amount of lead flow. You want to send 2,000 emails? I just told you how to do it. You want to send 4,000 emails? Just do the same thing, but multiply it by 2. It's literally that easy to scale. And then all of the copy, you just need to adjust it to go into the right industry. The system doesn't really change. You are always going to scrape your leads, you're always going to send, and you're always going to craft messaging and test it over time. The beauty is that it's simple, but it's not always easy. But once you get an angle that works or a system that works, then it becomes reliable, predictable lead flow. It's no longer a gamble. You're not throwing a bunch of money and a bunch of time into designing a creative and into an ads budget to go send it into the ether to see if anybody comes from it. You can pretty much make a couple tweaks and see what happens, and you know you're landing in the inboxes of your most qualified clients. You know you're getting exactly who you want, not targeting some random housewife in Mississippi when you were really trying to go for people that are CEOs at Fortune 500 companies. And the beauty is, this doesn't have to replace any of your channels. If you have a working paid channel, keep it. If you have a working referral channel, definitely keep it. This is only going to supplement what you already have. It's going to help your sales team. It's going to help every other channel, and it works underneath it all. So if you want to get started and build this system for yourself, the first place I would start is the infrastructure. You got to make sure that you know where you're going to get your leads from, and you got to get your mailboxes together. Plenty of resources online. We're not going to go into that in this video, probably a different one, but use what I said as guidance for setting up your infrastructure. That's how you're gonna wanna set it up. That's how you're gonna wanna structure it for reliability. If you wanna work with me, the beauty is that I take care of all of it, end to end. From the setup, the technical setup, all the DNS, getting the mailboxes prepped, warmed up, I craft the campaign messaging, I identify the ICP, I become a thought partner on your team, helping you craft the messaging and also identifying different roles that we can go after so that we can expand the amount of touch points that we're hitting. And then we launch the campaigns and I manage it and I hand off all of the interested leads. I do this end to end. I do this for all of my clients. If you're interested in working with me, I've got a link down below. Let me know and we'll get started.